The following podcast is brought to you by Iconic Nation Media. Welcome to Season 5 of Level Up Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Levy. I'm here to guide you on a journey of personal growth and fulfillment. Join me as we delve into the challenges of both business and personal life, aiming to discover our true selves and connect more deeply with the world around us. On this podcast, we'll explore the topics that inspire and empower us to become the best version of ourselves. From book reviews to interviews with iconic individuals, we'll have insightful conversations that resonate with your journey. And a big thank you to our sponsors, the Boys and Girls Club of America, Greater Nejo Valley, and Levy's Deli for supporting the show and helping us bring these valuable discussions to you. Please share, rate, and review the podcast. And thank you so much for listening. You can also leave your comments at Kimberly Levy on social media. Thank you for your feedback and thank you for listening. Hello, and welcome back to Level Up Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Levy. You guys, what is going on? How's everyone doing today? Everyone good? I just had my Starbucks coffee because I was dragging a little bit. Your girl was up at 4:30 in the morning? Something like that. Just excited, you know? Guys, I've been working 7 days a week and I'm obsessed with my business, and I'm just so jazzed to finally be back into a position where I'm like just happy, you know, happy for life and excited about the days. And I've been thinking a lot about this podcast and what I can do for you. And I came to a conclusion that I've talked about a lot of things on this podcast, but at the end of the day, I always go back to two things, which is business and mindset. And those are the things that I love so much. And I launched this podcast, and this was back in 2020. And I actually was talking almost exclusively about business and online businesses and how to build your brand and how to build your business. And somewhere along the way, I just kind of started talking more about motherhood and IVF and all the things. And the reason for that is just because that's what's been authentic to my life. And the podcast has to be authentic to you. But I have to tell you guys, I've come to a realization that after speaking to so many people, so many of you are asking me to teach more business. And I'm a little surprised. I don't know why. I guess I'm not that surprised, but it's really interesting how people have asked me to start masterminds, to teach more. And the feedback I've gotten, particularly recently, if you listen to my podcast about negotiations and how to negotiate an actually good business deal, so many of you reached out and you're like, we need more business. Like, I love your teaching style. I love how you are like a badass in business. You know what you know, you're confident, but like you actually really care, and you have a heart, and you lead with humanity and love. And I guess that teaching style, so to speak, which, is not something I like plan, I guess that resonates with a lot of you. A lot of you said you feel much more comfortable with me coaching you. It just resonates that I can speak to you because I'm just another girl like you trying to figure it out. And how relatable is that? And how fun is it? We're all just trying to figure it out. And look, I know what I know, and I certainly know what I don't know. And I will also say that it's exciting learning, even though you might be stuck or confused about what it is you're pursuing. If you're trying to launch a business or you're in an awkward transition point or whatever it is, it's fun to be a student. And I think that is something that is maybe one of the underpinnings of my success that I can give to you just kind of out the gate today as we kind of discuss what we're going to discuss. But this notion of being a student is so important. It is so important. If you are curious, keep learning. It was so interesting. I was watching I don't remember who or what it was, but it was some big CEO. Oh, it was? it was Dan Bilzerian. You know who that is? Whatever. Anyway, the guy is like, he was like a playboy turned billionaire, and I was watching a very brief clip kind of accidentally about him in business, and he was saying he gets really curious, and when he gets curious he'll go down these rabbit holes. And Alex Hermosi also was saying that, and I'm like, wait, that's totally me. That's what I do. I get like obsessed with something I know nothing about, and then I just start going down this rabbit hole, and I like will not stop learning about it. So like recently I was like, I want to learn more about what the cool kids are doing in social media. And I bought a course. I started leaning into it. I started changing my own personal social media. And the reason for that is because my company really has been leaning into kind of like this all-in-one business model. A lot of my clients come to me because they want to launch their podcast, and they have no idea how to do it, or they don't have the time. So many of you guys want to launch a podcast and you have no idea where to start, and it is so intimidating and so overwhelming. The other part of this is that once you get your podcast finally launched, there becomes another problem, which is, well, how do I continue to produce this, and how do I run my social media? I don't have the time. So because of these pain points, that's how I built my company. My company is there truly to be an all-in-one stop shop for people that don't have the time, they don't have the bandwidth to bootstrap and just like do all the things themselves. Like, they're busy. A lot of my clients are very busy people, or they're just not interested, like they just want to go create content. And I have to tell you, we've released some shows the last month, and I cannot even explain. This is a little bit of a tangent, but there's nothing, it's a tangent and it's a testimonial. And I hope this is an inspiring comment. I fumbled around on this business for some time and on a lot of things. But I will say this, when you finally truly hit your stride and you are able to help people and you are truly able to make real impact, there's nothing better. And I'm sharing that so that if you are out there kind of fumbling around and just unclear about what your next step might be, it's okay. I've been there. I am exactly like you. I knew zero about online business, social media, marketing, branding, podcasting, lighting, video, all the things. I knew, and I'm not kidding, zero. I knew nothing. And now I am able to produce shows, right, with my company and have a team that does this. And it's just incredible. But one of the most incredible things is when a client tells me, you help me achieve my dreams. Like, it takes my breath away, and I literally can start crying right now just even thinking about it, because I've been told that a couple times this last month. And if you're fighting for a dream, keep fighting for it and don't stop. Just keep fighting and keep changing directions. And if one thing fails, try another thing. And anyway, so the essence of what I'm telling you is I'm going to start listening to what it is you guys are asking for, which is more business. You love the mindset. You love the warmth. You love the fact that I care so deeply about you and helping you. And you love the fact that I'm authentic. I'm not trying to impress anyone. I'm not trying to pretend I'm someone I'm not. I'm just me. And I'm just me trying to really help you and the real version of you. So this topic today that I'm going to get into is for the struggling person that is not clear on their offer. So I'm going to basically start at the beginning, okay? If you're trying to launch your business and you are struggling. So I am in Amy Porterfield's course, Digital Course Academy, and we have these pods, like these accountability pods. They're almost like these mini masterminds. So I run one of them, okay? And all of us, we're all a part of the class, which is all about teaching you how to launch your own course online. And it's a lot. Okay, I'm not going to lie. So I'm basically, just so you guys know, I'm taking this class so that I can launch my Podcast 101 course. And I've launched courses before, but I wanted to see how the best of the best does it. And this goes back to me being curious, which is I know that I can do this already, and I actually didn't need the course, but I was like, give me the shortcut. Give me this is the expert. Like, I want to see all her tips, all her tricks. I want to accelerate and make my course the best it can be. So I'm going to invest in it. Okay. So that's a first lesson, is be curious. The second lesson in that is invest. You have to put your money into it, your time and your money into it. And that is the hard truth. So I know that's a little scary, but you don't have to spend a bazillion dollars, but you do need to invest. And I will say, a lot of my clients come in and they are afraid to invest in their podcast. They're afraid to spend money on someone helping them. And so those are the people that end up staying stuck and just wishing and hoping and dreaming that they eventually get a podcast, and they don't want to pay for it. I actually even have celebrities that don't want to pay for it. And so I'm like, well, then I guess you're not going to be my client, because, my team has real hard costs. And as much as I'd love to help you because you're this giant celebrity, if you're not going to invest, like, I don't know what to tell you. So that's the second takeaway is, so once you're curious, the second thing is rip off the Band-Aid and invest in yourself, invest in courses, invest in people that can help you faster, coaching, whatever it is, whatever the gap is that you're not willing to spend your time learning, then go ahead and invest in it. Okay. And I can tell you, I've probably spent, I don't know, $100,000 in investing in myself in one way or another in my business, which is a lot of money. That's a lot of money to invest. So I truly have put my money where my mouth is. I have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on courses, coaching, equipment, studio spaces, production teams, virtual assistants, advertising, all these different things, brand photo shoots, backdrops, just, so many different things, a myriad of things that I've invested in myself and in my business. And somebody actually came up to me and said, okay, and this goes back to what I wanted to say, which is for the new business entrepreneur, or someone that is just newly launching a new venture or is looking to start something new and doesn't kind of know where they are. One of my friends came up to me and he said, how is your business doing so well? And I just didn't even have words, because I'm like, you don't even know how much blood, sweat, and tears has gone into this. It has been 7 days a week on and off for 5 years that I launched my podcast, figured all of that out, figured out so many different pieces of the puzzle. And only now, 5 years later, is it truly coming together. And is this really my first month where I'm really I would say I've totally hit my stride. And there's still so much more to come, and I'm still totally building, and there's so much growth happening, and it's super exciting. But it also kind of killed me, because I'm like, this person's looking at me just wanted to know oh, how do you make so much money? And I'm like, wow, that's just it's just the wrong question, honestly. So it doesn't come easy. It doesn't come fast. And that's just the hard truth. But I will also say that if you take baby steps forward every single day, you'll gain momentum, you'll gain confidence, you'll gain skills, you'll gain knowledge, and you will eventually gain your clients. So I'm going to go back to a conversation we were having in our mastermind. Okay. Shout out to all the girls that were there today. Some of our guys were not on today, but, one of the girls, she was like, well, I have launched courses and no one's bought them. I'm like, okay, well, tell me what problem you solve. What is your course about? And long story short, she's confused about her offer. So at first it was, well, what did she say? An executive coach. I'm like, okay, cool. So without hearing anything about you or your business, I'm going to tell you that I would be your ideal client, because I've the old version of me, right? Where I was an executive in the corporate world, trying to do the most in a male dominated world, blah, blah, blah. And the two things that women in that position want, their two pain points are, one, they want the title that supports all their efforts and all their work, because they want to feel valued. And so they want the big title. And the second thing is they want the big paycheck to support all their impact that they make in their organization. Those are your 2 pain points. So if you can tell them how you can help them make more money and negotiate their title, then you're golden. It's all in your messaging. She's like, "Oh, I don't teach that." I'm like, "Okay, well then then what do you teach?" And so it ended up being this very vague answer. And I'm like, "Look, I'm going to just give you tough love. I don't know what I'm buying with you. That's the thing." So you have to really simplify your message of what it is you do. What is the pain point you solve for your client? And if you are struggling to answer that in one sentence, you are not there yet. How do I know this? Because that was me. Okay. So I know how frustrating this question and this problem truly is. And it's not something someone else can answer for you. And that's probably the worst of it. No one can sit there and tell you. Now, the best thing to do truly in this situation is to work with a business coach. And here's why. Because when you are sitting there, like basically like chasing your tail and you cannot get clarity on your own business, you're going to continue to spin your wheels because the clarity is just not coming easily to you. Now, I was in that situation and I had taken courses and I still wasn't totally clear. But over time, I found something that I love, which is podcasting. And that's when I opened up my business. I'm like, I love doing this. It's a clear pain point. I know this is a pain point because I know how hard it is to launch a podcast. And I'm going to be the person to help people solve it. And so that's why as soon as I really opened my doors, like my business exploded immediately because there was no vagueness about it. People do not buy if they are confused. If they are not sure how you help them or what problem you solve for them, they will not buy. A confused buyer will not buy from you, period, end of story. So if you are not crystal clear on the problem you solve in a single sentence, that is okay. But you are not ready to launch. And I'm so sorry that that's the hard truth because that is the most frustrating place to be. And I do empathize. Now, if you would like to work with me, I will work with select clients one-on-one. That is not generally what I've been doing, but I see that there is a need and I feel like part of my zone of genius is getting to unpack people's visions and really help them piece together a business model and an offer that truly does make sense. And it has to be authentic to them. So we go through in my company, we do this entire discovery process with you for a good hour. And I really get down into the weeds with you, into your mind and your heart and what is happening in your head and exactly where you're at. What is your vision? What are you stuck on? What do you think you want? What are your skills based on your past, education, your experience, and what's your passion? And so from that, it is such an important exercise because why? I know that in launching a podcast, you are launching a brand. And you cannot show up in your business day in and day out if you don't absolutely love it. You will not sustain. You will be dead in the water. And the entire point of launching your business is creating something that you love every day. It's the idea, at least for me, is like, I don't want to go into an office and see people I don't like, that I don't respect, or just do a job like that's not fulfilling to me. I work too hard and life's too short, right? So I'm saying that I now have built a company that I am obsessed with. Like I literally, if I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, I start thinking about all of my clients, their businesses, their podcasts, their shows, their social media, their branding, their photo shoots. I get so excited. Like I'm like sick. On Saturday night, Saturday night at 9:30, I was working on a client and I don't know. I just love it. So I think the idea of starting your own company needs to be rooted in the idea of you have to be truly authentic and truly obsessed with what it is that you're doing. And if you're not sure yet, then you can absolutely reach out to me. And I will probably relaunch. I've already taught a course on how to launch your business, how to launch your online business. I had 10 women in that course. It was over the pandemic and it was pretty cool. So I do absolutely love launching businesses and courses and helping people solve these problems, but they're hard. So what I'm telling you is if you're not truly sure on what problem you're solving, your audience will certainly not be sure either. So take time to think about what is something I do on a daily basis that I love. And it could be literally anything. Like for me, you guys remember, I came from a very different background than what I'm doing right now. It was largely incredibly unconventional. Podcasting wasn't even a thing. So like what I'm saying is what your thing might be, might just be a hobby of yours. Like maybe you love making jewelry and selling it on Etsy, like as a fun hobby, it could be anything that you love. So think about what are things you do in your free time. That's a great prompt. What is something you do in your free time that you love? And if you could make it a business and you couldn't fail, what would that look like? Okay. So for me, my podcast was a hobby. It was a total passion project. And I truly didn't believe I could do it and make it a business. I didn't believe it. Like I didn't have the skills. I didn't have the confidence. I didn't have the resources. I had so many gaps in terms of skills and just overall knowledge and experience. But you know what? Your girl kept showing up every week. Yes, she did. Yes, ma'am. We talked about everything. We talked about business. We talked about being a mom. We talked to all kinds of awesome people that have come on my show. And we're top 5% globally, my show. And I'm really proud of that. And I want to continue to grow that. So that was a passion project. My company was born out of a true passion project. So if you are creating offers that you don't fully understand and nobody's buying them, just stop, pull down the offers. Okay, start over. Literally start all over again and start from the beginning and say, okay, what do I absolutely love doing? Now, this could be anything. It could be teaching youth sports. It could be basket weaving. It could be cooking. It could be fitness. It could be teaching Spanish. I mean, there's truly no right or wrong. You could be an attorney. You could be like an art teacher. You could be a preschool teacher. You could be anything. You could be a crafty stay-at-home mom. Really, you could truly, whoever you are, you have something you can teach. I promise you that is absolutely true. So think about what you love to teach. What do you get lit up about? What stokes your fire when you're talking to people? Like, what do you get literally lit up about and energized about? What fills your cup? And I would start right there. Okay. So if you're not sure what your offer or your business could be, truly go back to your passion. So you're working from the end in mind. You're working backwards so that you know that if you set up a business around your passion, you're going to love your business. It's not rocket science, right? So you might as well go for the thing that you love to do the most. Maybe you're a massage therapist. I don't know. You could be anything. You could be a comedian. I know, in fact, I have a friend that she's a real estate agent, but her true passion is comedy. And she started getting back on stages. She's in her 50s. I think it is fabulous. Now she gets paid to go do comedy engagements. And guess what? She can also sell real estate. And that's the beauty of today. You don't have to just have one thing that you do. So I hope that is helpful. If you are a brand new entrepreneur and you would really like to get started, I am happy to serve up some knowledge and tools for you. Just for context, I have run very large companies before. I've been an executive. I've been in many boardrooms with predominantly men. I have a very big business strategy, finance, and operations background. So I know a lot about business. I know a lot about technical pieces of business. I know a lot about building teams in business, the hard skills and the soft skills. Those are the things that I love. I get super passionate about helping people reach their highest potential, finding their dream, being the best version of themselves, and being just someone that can give away their gifts. That's what I think is so important. So yeah, so that is kind of the direction we're headed in the show. I'm going to start talking more and more about business. I'm going to continue talking about podcasting. And another big piece of my business I don't talk to you guys about as much is branding. And that is really important in your business. And branding, again, I didn't know anything about branding, but branding is super important because it attracts people into your world without knowing you. So before they see you, before they know you, before they hear you, your branding has to attract people. And so really nailing good branding is not an easy thing to do, and my company does it all the time. It's just part of our process. When we launch your podcast, we launch your brand. And we don't really market it that way. We just say we launch your podcast, but we're actually launching your podcast and your entire business, your brand, because it all has to make sense. It has to be cohesive. It has to flow. And there's also technical pieces of this that I will touch on, which is around the customer journey. So AKA a sales funnel. Okay. If that's an intimidating word to you, I get it. Don't worry. Your girl's here. But it's basically, where are you taking your customers? Once you have them, where do they go? Where do you put them? How do you convert them to sales? How do you go from giving away your free content on your social media and your podcast and your YouTube, and how do you convert those interested, excited audience members into paying customers? So these are all the things that we are going to start tackling. I will also start carving out some segments around mindset, because to me, mindset is truly the underpinning of all of this. So before you can go out and build a business, you have to be in the right frame of mind, and you have to have good energy, and you really need to be able to have a great understanding of what your needs are as a person to be whole and to show up every day with good energy. You know, this is really random. You know what people tell me? And I swear, this is just, to me, it's such a random comment to get almost, I mean, I literally hear this, you guys, like multiple days a week. I just heard it 3 times this morning. Last week, I heard it twice. It's the biggest compliment, but I really want to touch on this. Do you know what people tell me? They say, I love your energy. Wow. That like makes me want to cry. Do you know how captivating that is to me? And here's why I'm sharing that. I'm not sharing that because I'm like, look at me. People compliment me. No one cares. No one cares about me. No one cares about that stuff. Here's why I'm telling you this. I'm telling you about that comment because the key takeaway here is you are carrying around energy all day, every day. And you are letting everyone know how you're doing through the way you interact with them and through the energy that you carry around. This is critically important for you to be aware of. If you do not have good energy, everyone can feel it. Everyone. I'm talking the barista at Starbucks can feel it. Why? Because you're like irritated, tapping your foot, staring them down as they're busily trying to prepare your matcha tea latte with oat milk, for example. Okay? Versus, hi, how are you doing? Hey, thanks so much for my latte. I appreciate your work. And then walking out and like giving them a tip. Totally big difference in your energy. The reason why this is important is because I believe dialing in your energy so that you are on your highest wavelength that you could possibly be on is the only way you're going to be successful. And I'm talking about across your personal relationships, friendships, with your kids, with your spouse, with your parents, with your colleagues, with your employees, etc. I really believe this idea of good energy is the foundation of all good things in your life. And I think that's why this idea of self-care, which I like want to puke every time I even think of, oh, self-care, bleh, like, oh, you know, it's so fluffy and ugh, it's just, I don't know. But I think the most important thing that I do to get my energy right is I go to sleep early, I drink a ton of water, and I exercise in a way that's fun. So for me, that looks like I go to sleep by 9 o'clock every night. So I put down my kids by 7:38. I immediately get in bed. I try and unwind. And by 9 o'clock, I'm pretty much sleeping. then I'm up early in the morning, this morning it was like 4:30, but I try and stay in bed at least till 5 in the morning. I have my coffee waiting for me, which, by the way, if you want to know which coffee maker I make, you have to be presetting your coffee. There's no getting up at 5 in the morning waiting for coffee. That's just not a thing. No, that's called bad vibes. So I wake up, my coffee is waiting for me. I have my coffee in a nice, quiet setting. And of course, your girl immediately starts working because why? I'm obsessed. All right. Sometimes that work is me logging into a course that I'm a part of. Sometimes that's me dialing in some social media content that I need to get out. So whatever that work is, I love it. And I do it at 5 in the morning for 2 hours until my kids are up and ready to go to school. And that step, then I also immediately take a shower. I get changed. I get my kids out the door, and then hopefully I'll play tennis or I'll jump on meetings or whatever. Okay. So that's kind of like what I do to get my energy right. And when I do not sleep the night before, it kills my energy the next day. It's the worst. I almost don't even try to be productive on those days because it's just, I'm not even myself. It's like a complete waste. It's terrible. So that's a big deal in terms of really getting your energy right. The other thing is I do not engage in toxic stuff. No toxic. I don't engage in toxic business dealings. I don't engage in toxic friendships. And I don't engage in toxic family interactions. And I do that to protect my energy. So here's an example. There was somebody that wanted to charge me something that was to me unreasonable. And I thought, you know what? This is just going to be a good business lesson. I'm just going to pay it, move on. And my husband's like, why? You're feeding into this person, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you don't get it. I want to move on. I want good vibes. I want to move on. And $1,000 for me is not going to break me. Thank God. So I just want to move on. I don't want toxic energy. I don't want it in my head. I don't want to feel anger. I don't want to get into some back and forth battle with somebody. I just want to move on in peace. So I literally just paid the guy and I moved on. I didn't negotiate. I could have put up a whole fight. No, sometimes it is worth it to pay for the mental health and the well-being. And I just thought, what a great lesson. See, I paid this money as a wonderful business lesson, and I took that as an opportunity to learn, and I moved on. I could have very easily, and I will tell you, almost every other person out there would have probably gone into this whole tizzy, fought the guy about the money, been all upset about it. It would have ended badly, and it would have just been this whole toxic blow up. Okay? I easily could have done that. I chose not to. I took the high road. I was like, I'm over this. I don't want to be involved in this at all. Nope. No more. You don't get any more room in my mind. I just want to move on from this. And that's exactly what I did. Okay. So when I talk about energy, it sounds fluffy, but I'm talking about very real life examples. Okay. There was somebody, a mom several weeks ago, months ago now, that made some really nasty comment to me, totally unwarranted. Okay, completely out of left field. She was trying to show off in front of some other moms, and it was so nasty and so uncalled for. You know what I did? Nothing. I did nothing. I didn't dignify it with a response. I didn't pull her aside. And I also didn't continue the friendship. I just simply did nothing. Literally, that was the entire response. Nothing. Because now you feel the absence of me because you crossed me and I don't want to engage in this negative friendship now. You showed me that you have a whole different side to you that I didn't know about, which is not one that I'm fond of. And it's all good because that's you. It's not me. I got nothing, it's not a me problem. And did it hurt my feelings? Yeah. Yeah, it did. It hurt my feelings. I'm not going to lie. It did really hurt my feelings, especially because I've been nothing but kind and nice to this person. But here's the thing. Next, so this is what I'm saying, you guys, when I talk about protecting your energy and having good energy and how do you have such good energy, which is the number one thing people tell me that I leave them with, which is the biggest compliment. I mean, it leaves me speechless. Those are my tips. That's how I do it. How do I have so much energy? I don't drain my energy on negative things. I don't. If something doesn't work, I literally change it. I was in a studio, that didn't work for me. I moved out of the studio. I was, in a job, tons of money, not a good fit. Next, I don't waste energy. There's a family member that always wanted my advice that never took it and constantly kept wasting my time asking for advice. Yeah, I'm done with this. You don't take my advice. I'm done giving it and spending my energy giving it to you. Next, right? So what I'm saying is be super protective about your energy. I don't consume negative media. I don't get worked up about politics. I don't get worked up about, things in the world that are far beyond my control. Why? Because me getting so upset does nothing to solve the problem. It just gets me more upset. I learned that 20 years ago when I stopped watching the news. So I call it the bad news. If you guys have been listening to the show, you've heard me talk about that about 27 times. So anything that goes in my brain, my mind takes up my calendar time. If it is negative or toxic or not productive, I do not allow it in my space, period, end of story. Over the weekend, somebody said, how do you do it all? How do you have time to fit it all in? I got 4 businesses. I have 3 kids. I have, I'm on 2 boards and 1 husband, and I live and die by my calendar, and I don't waste energy on things that don't serve me. That's it. That is the simple truth. And I'm ruthless about it. I am ruthless about protecting my energy. I do not let negative people, negative content, negative energy into my space. And that, my friends, is how I show up happy every day, even though my mom just passed away. By the way, that was my best friend. So you want to talk about a blow. Yeah, this is not an easy time, okay? And how can I carry on and how can I be productive still? How are my clients like, you're still working. How are you doing this? Like, you're knocking it out of the park and all this like really kind stuff. How am I doing it is because of what I just told you, because I only do things I'm obsessed with. So going back to you, entrepreneur, if you're looking to build a business, please make sure you're obsessed with it, that you love it, that you breathe it, that it's something you do anyway, even though you're not going to get paid. I didn't get paid for a long while. I was paying to do it. Okay. And I was still doing it. Okay. So find something you truly enjoy and don't think of it like, well, what is everybody else doing? What should I be doing? Don't think of it that way. Think of what do I love to do even when I'm, what am I doing on Saturday and Sunday with my free time? Think of it that way. What are your hobbies? What do you love to talk to your friends about that gets you all jazzed? What is it? So I hope that this is helpful to those of you that are really trying to embark on a new chapter, or you're banging your head against the wall because you're a newer entrepreneur, or maybe you sold a business, you're launching a new business, or you're looking to make more money, or whatever the case may be for you. I hope that this episode is a good starting point for you to kind of wrap your mind around who you want to be, what your business should look like, and hopefully you get the flavor for the fact that I'm going to talk to you about business and mindset topics, because that's just what I love. I do believe they go hand in hand, and I don't think you can talk about one without talking about the other from the most authentic perspective. And if you guys want me to tackle very specific business strategy type problems, please let me know, because I can get pretty technical with you guys. I can get into email sequences, branding photo shoots, mood boards, social media, lead magnets, sales funnels. What else? I mean, obviously launching your podcast and so much more. So if you guys, if you want help with something, please reach out. If you would like some one-on-one coaching with me, I might be open to taking on a couple clients, possibly. All right. So reach out at Kimberly Levy and let me know. I hope this leaves you with some inspiration, motivation, and just comfort that you're doing just fine. Just keep moving forward. Okay. Whatever you do, don't stop. Don't quit. Don't get down on yourself. It's all normal. Okay. I promise. If everybody else seems like they have it together, they don't. Okay. We all struggle to get there. So that is just part of the ride, and just lean into it and do your best. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for listening. Bye. All right, that is it for today. Thank you very much for listening, and be sure to follow us at Iconic Nation Media and send us a direct message and comment on some of our posts so that we can hear your feedback and incorporate them into our show. We appreciate you listening, and we look forward to catching you next week.